Hello and welcome to the Real Estate Regroup Show. I am your host, LJ Walker, real estate investor, helping you realize your dreams of owning a home or investing in one. Well, I just came back from a 7-day cruise to Alaska. It was phenomenal. It was a business cruise, though. Yes, a business trip. And one of the questions that I kept getting when I run into other passengers is that they never heard of having a business trip on a cruise. So I'm going to address that and also talk a little bit about the Alaska market. Okay, so yes, I think, and I know that a cruise is one of the best ways in which you should have a business trip. If you're ever thinking about organizing one of the benefits is the fact that food is included and they also have daycare. Yes, I was on Royal Caribbean Quantum of the Seas. That was the ship that we sailed on. And what I found, besides the convenience of it, one of the speakers actually was buying property in Alaska. He does land flipping, and he also tends to do it via mortgage notes. So the best way to really understand or learn a market that you don't know too much about, but you may heard a little bit of this here and there, is to actually go and visit it. It's not the only way, but it is one of the best ways. With the cruise ship, they visited different parts of Alaska. So this way we were able to see, okay, this is what this city has opposed to what another city in Alaska has. So we visited the ports of Skagway, Sitka, and Juneau. We also went into, well, we were about to go into another part called Endicott Arm, but because it was 70 degrees, the ice was melting. The captain was afraid that the ice might break off and hit the ship and damage the ship in some sort of way. So between a mile or 9 miles, somewhere around there, kept getting different estimates. He turned the boat around and we went to Juneau. Okay, so we did see, a good portion. A good portion of Alaska, from what I can see, is not developed. Okay, Skagway is very small. It's about, 5 blocks wide and 7 blocks long. You do have people who live on the outskirts of Skagway, but they don't necessarily live next door to each other. They're very far apart. So this particular person, one of the speakers, was saying what's very popular. First of all, Alaska is getting popular, period. That's number one. Number two, one of the main things that's driving it is tourism. And people want to go out there to go camping and what have you. So he was basically looking at campsites, and he was saying that, for those of us who were new in real estate investing or who were already investors but wanted to think about easier ways to invest to broaden our real estate horizon, is to really consider investing in land, investing in campgrounds, because when you invest in land, you don't have to deal with contractors. And if you have to foreclose on a property, you don't have to think about, okay, I got to go get a sheriff to go into the house and make sure everybody's out the house, and maybe even, put a lock and board up windows and all of that. You don't have to do that. You don't have to take care of the house. It's just the land. That's all you have to deal with, is the land. So That, to me, is I feel, one of the best reasons why one would go to Alaska, especially as a real estate investor. You know, it's really a no-brainer if you really, really think about it. Now, for those of you in other industries, again, you know, I would say consult with your accountant to see if it's okay. But yes, it is definitely a tax deductible destination when it's a business trip. The other thing, too, that I wanted to add is that if you start an LLC in Alaska, it's not the cheapest, but it's one of the cheapest places to do it. And number two, their corporate taxes are a whole lot lower than a lot of other states. They're definitely lower than New York, definitely lower than Virginia. I tell you that for a fact. So yes, you definitely, you know, consider doing business trips on cruise ships, because when you go to a hotel, a lot of times when you go to the hotel, the food is not included. The only food they might include is breakfast. But on the cruise, you get breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, and then late night meals. In the hotel, they typically don't have anybody to take care of your kids. But on Royal Caribbean Quantum of the Seas, they had a whole adventure center that was 2 floors where they had people there that were taking care of your kids. And then they had all kind of toys and games for the kids, you know. And as well, they do have the kiddie pools and stuff like that. So like in between the conference, you could go and, you know, play with your kids yourself. There was a curfew at 1 a.m. and typically I don't recall any hotel having a curfew for the kids like the cruise ship does. But I mean, why would you want your kid to be up past 1 o'clock in the morning anyway? So, you know, and traveling does open the doors to your kid to know that, hey, there's more than just what's in my neighborhood. There's a whole world out there where people, the culture is different, the weather is different, the food is different, the clothing is different. You understand me? So, yeah, I definitely encourage it. And listen, it doesn't necessarily have to be a cruise to Alaska. It can be a cruise to anywhere in the world, honestly. But I do think that since cruise ships have conference rooms, people should, and they do, make more use of them. But no, normally most people, you know, make use of the hotel. I would say the only drawback with the cruise is that you do have some people who suffer motion sickness. I don't, so I can't really relate to that so much. I know that there are things such as Dramamine and some other medication that you can take that might be over counter in addition to what you might get prescribed from your doctor. Plus, there's also a doctor on board in case of anything, right? But otherwise, I say definitely do a cruise. And that is also something that I'm going to encourage someone else to think about, because at the end of the day, I think that cruising is cheaper than staying in a hotel. I really do. And you might say, well, what about the tours? Well, to be honest, there's so much activity on the cruise, you don't have to do a tour at all. Some ports, you can just walk onto the port, just walk around the city and come back on your own. Some cities do have buses, such as Juneau. When the boat docked, it docked right in front of a car rental place. And then not too far from that, and probably in the same place, you could probably also rent a bike. I know one of the people that was in our group, he rented a bike and went around Sitka when we were in that area. There's also taxis in certain parts of Alaska, not all. Sitka doesn't have taxis, unfortunately, but Juneau does. Skagway does have a train, and they do have a shuttle bus that takes you to different places, as well as tour buses. So that were separate from what the cruise offered, and was also a whole lot cheaper than what the cruise offered as well. I mean, the shuttle bus was what, $3? That shouldn't break your bank. But if you can't afford $3, then guess what? Just don't go on a cruise. Real talk. And you might want to think about doing wholesaling and just sticking to that area if your money is really that low where you can't afford $3. But yeah, other than that, I kind of feel that the cruise is a lot cheaper, because when I look at staying in a lot of these other hotels, it's way more expensive, especially if you were to go and do each city at a time. With the cruise, you're able to, like we did, hit 3 cities at one time and get a good feel as to, you know what, if I were to invest, what part of Alaska am I going to invest in? And don't get me wrong, doing the cruise is not really enough to go ahead and invest. I do feel that I need to go back to Alaska, and I do want to go back to Alaska. Maybe not, I would like to do another cruise. Don't get me wrong, I want to do another cruise to Alaska. But for me to make, let's say, my final decision, it would take me one extra trip. Or I would pay somebody to, just take some videos and some pictures for me. It would also take me time. I would also visit YouTube and look at other people who went to Alaska, who lived in Alaska. There is one particular person that I am following who is a nomad, and she took the cruise to Alaska, and she's been driving up and down the Alaskan highway for a couple of weeks now. So that actually, she doesn't realize it, but that her videos actually give me insight also on not only like where I would invest, but what my strategies would be. Because I don't invest unless I have an exit strategy. I need to know, like, if things don't look good, if things start to go bad, how do I shift? How do I pivot? Okay, because that's very important. So guys, so yeah, that is basically my answer to those of you who are like, what? You went to Alaska to a real estate conference on a cruise? Are you serious? Yeah, I'm dead serious. And it was the best thing I ever did. Now, the other thing that was asked of me was, well, how did I really enjoy the cruise since I had to be in a conference? Well, here's the thing. The full day conferences were only held when we were at sea. See, there were times when we were not, when the boat did not dock. It was just still traveling. So for, was it 3 days, I think we were at sea, we had a full conference from 9 in the morning till 5 o'clock. Well, actually, no, 9 in the morning till 4, because we had to eat at 5 o'clock. And then, eating normally was from, let's say, 5 to 6:30, and then at 7 o'clock in the evening, 7 o'clock almost every evening except for 2, we met up again. So we had a full conference, and yet we still had time to enjoy any excursions that we wanted. There was limited time, though, when it came to activities on board. So let's say it's a day at sea and they're having a trivia contest. I can't go to the trivia contest. I have to go to the conference, right? But if they had a trivia, let's say at 8 o'clock at night, I'm good. Okay. As far as the shows are concerned, most of the shows I was able to catch because they have 2 shows typically on board. They have them at 7 and at 9 o'clock. So a lot of times I would catch the 9 o'clock show because we would be in conference at 7 o'clock. So you see how that worked out. Now, when it came to the massages are kind of expensive on board anyway. So I don't really feel like I missed out on anything. But yes, you would definitely be compromised if you try to get a massage while doing the conference. That would have been a very big challenge. I know some people, what they did is during lunchtime, they would try to schedule, or instead of going to port, they would actually get their massage. But other than that, it's really cheaper to just go get your massage at the airport or wait until you get home. All right. So guys, that's all I have to add. Hopefully this information will help you make smart financial moves. Feel free to pass this amongst your friends. Remember, each one, reach one, teach one. Bye for now. Until next time, have a good night.